so today we are going to talk about how to choose fonts. So I need to go over some basics so you understand what the purpose of certain fonts are, and then it makes it so much easier to choose which font you want to go with. So when you're deciding which fonts to use for your website, we want to keep a few things in mind. There are three main categories. There's a lot of smaller categories, but we're just going to talk about the three main categories. Keep this super simple. So we're going to talk about serif fonts, sans serif fonts, and handwritten or script fonts. So serif fonts means that they have the lines at the end. They're like feet on the end of the font. So you'll notice on like Times New Roman, Baskerville, they have these lines at the ends of each bar. So they're called like feet. Sans serif, if you know French, sans means without. So sans serif means without those feet on the ends of the letters. Handwritten or script is pretty obvious. It's handwritten looking or script looking. So when we are choosing fonts, we need to keep in mind what is the message that we want to send with our business or with our website. So there are a few things to think about. So serif fonts are usually reserved for a more traditional or professional look. It's a very common font and used quite often in headings and body copy. So it's very easy to read, and it's usually in books, newspapers, things like that. Has a little more traditional feel to it. They can also be modern. There's a lot of modern serif fonts right now, but usually it is a feel of traditional or classic looking fonts. Now with sans serif fonts, it has a little bit more casual feel to it. It can also be modern feeling to it. These are also very popular for headings and body copy. They can be in small type, as in like for books. They can also be very modern and kind of high end as well. So keep in mind what kind of feel you want if you want to choose sans serif. Now for handwritten or script fonts, these are definitely a little more relaxed. They are a little more personal, but they can also be a romantic feel or a more feminine feel to them. You'll see these on just sporadically here and there because they are very hard to read. So I would say only use these for headings or just single words here and there, because when they're small and a lot of words next to each other, as in body copy, like a big paragraph, they are very hard to read together. So usually use as more embellishments or as a texture, not as far as needing to read it necessarily, because it is a little more artistic looking. Definitely can be hard to read. So just keep that in mind with handwritten scripts. If you are going to choose a handwritten script and you need it to be read, as in on your website, make sure it's a script that is easily read. There's a lot of script fonts that are kind of hard to read. So I just want to make sure you keep that in mind. Okay, so now you know kind of the feel of each category of font. How do we combine them together? So a good rule of thumb is to usually only use two different fonts that are in different categories. So if you're going to use two different fonts, we're going to say we're going to pull a font from serif and sans serif. We're going to say we're going to use these two fonts. Maybe my serif font is going to be my body copy and my serif font is going to be my heading. They want to be really different from each other. Or we could say we're going to use the handwritten script for the heading, and maybe sans serif for the body copy. So we're going to choose one font from each category. The problem comes when you choose two different fonts from the same category. We're going to change it to Baskerville, and this one is Agatho. So as you can tell, these two fonts are really close together in looks. It's really hard if you don't look super close to tell the difference between them. The problem when you use two different in the same category, because they're so close, it's really going to irritate the eyes because people are going to know something is off about these two fonts and I can't quite figure out what's wrong with it, and it's because they're two different serif fonts. You really want to keep consistency within the same category. So if you're using a serif font, make sure all of these serif fonts you're using are the same unless they're dramatically different from each other, and it's very obvious that they're different from each other. Otherwise, it's just too hard on the eyes to see just while you're scanning things, and it's gonna look off. And we really wanna make sure that our website looks clean and easy to read. That is very important for website design and website conversion. Now, if you'd like the work done for you, there are a lot of places that you can go where font pairings are already pre-chosen for you, and it really helps with choosing font pairings. If you go to Pinterest and just type in font pairings, you can be specific if you want to do feminine font pairings. If you just type in font pairings, you'll start to see some fonts. There's some free serif font pairings right at the top. Canva font pairings, which means they're free or part of the paid program, but that is also helpful if you're using Canva. If you scroll down, feminine font pairings, which are helpful, or timeless font pairings. These are really great. So start saving these to a Pinterest board. If you are also using Canva, I highly recommend Canva. Create a design. Let's say we're going to create a 8.5 by 11. If you go to the text section right here, you'll notice that they have font combinations already chosen for you. Now try not to look too much at the effects because you can take those effects off. So see these like glow effect. If you don't like that glow effect, you can go to the effects and you can say none and it will take the effect off. So don't worry too much about the effects because that can be removed. So say happy birthday is a font pairing here. Let's look for another one. The hello darling. Again, we can take off the effect and say none. And there you have two fonts that go together. Another one of my favorite places to get fonts is creativemarket.com. They also have font pairings. If you go to the search bar and go font pairing, you'll see a lot of options where they've already pre-chosen font pairings for you. A large header with a subheader. Some of these are just one singular font, but you can see some of them are like font. This one says Modern Font Duo. So you can also type in like modern fonts, and you'll see that this one comes with a script font and a serif font that come together, and they kind of show you what they look like in different formats. If you have words that you like, say it's your logo, and you want to see what it would look like in that font, there is a preview section, which is really nice. And then you can see what your business name would look like in that font, which is really nice. Now, once you purchase this font, you are going to need to know how to upload it to your computer. Apple makes this really easy, is when you download it, you can add it into the fonts program, and it'll pull into all of your Adobe programs that you use. I am not familiar with the Windows, so if you have a Windows PC, make sure you know how to install fonts on your PC. Okay, I hope that was helpful in helping you choose fonts. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments below. Thanks!